Hi guys, in this video I will make 5 smooth seamless transitions in After Effects. This is the transitions I want to create step by step at this video, and the advantage of the method I use in this tutorial is that you just create the transitions once, but you can use it many times in different projects, because I don't make any changes to the footages and all the changes is applied to the adjustment layer. So let's get started. I set the comp on 1920 by 1080. And its duration on 5 seconds. I import the footages into the comp. These footages are free and I put the link in the description so you can also download them. And I want to create the pan transition for these 2 videos. For doing that, first I create a new adjustment layer. And then I set the beginning on second 1 and the end on second 3. Well, to create a pan mode, first I add a motion tile effect to it. In second 1, I create a keyframe for tile center. And in second 3, I change its X position. And to avoid such problem I enable the mirror edges. Then, I make the keyframes easy ease, then go to the graph editor and change the graph like this. I temporarily increase the length of this layer to see how the animation works. After that, I enable the motion blur. And to make motion blur better I use directional blur effect. In the beginning I set the blur length on 0 and create a keyframe. Here, I set it on 50, and this one on 90. Here again I set it on 0. And at the end, I add optics compensation effect to it. Increase the field of view and enable the reverse option to achieve such a curvature. Well, here it is on 0. And here it should be on 100. And here again it will be on 0. I increase it a little more. It's better now. Here, when the speed is at its peak I have to do the transition. Well, I'm going to create a marker here to know where should I put the cut of the layers. With the pan behind tool, I move this video a little forward. I name it pan. Let's go to the next transition. I create a new composition and name it zoom. And import the footages. And I want to create the zoom transition for these videos. Again, I create a new adjustment layer. Add the optics compensation effect to it, and create a keyframe for the field of view. Here I increase this, enable the reverse option, and set it on 170 to achieve such a state. And at the end it should be on 0. And easy ease the first and the last keyframes. Then I add the twirl effect to it, set the radius on 80, and create a keyframe for the angle in the beginning. Here it should be on 80. And I use the reptile effect to fill in the blanks. Then change the mode and set it on unfold. I make the first keyframe easy ease and move it a little forward. And here, I increase the field of view so when the indicator goes a little further the stretchy mode appears immediately. And also, here I increase it a bit. Well, let's see how it has become. It's good. I go to the next frame and change 80 to -80, so that the transition's rotation is done correctly. And here set it on 0. Then easy ease it. Well, it's good. To make the transition look better, I add the radial blur effect and change the type and set it on zoom. Here it is on 0. And when it reaches here becomes 30. The amount stays on 30 until here. And here it returns again to the 0. To make it better, I increase the speed of the animation on this side. And decrease it on the other side. And finally, I enable the optimal pixels here, and in the previous frame disable it. Well, it's fine. Let's go to the next transition. I create a new composition and name it 3D box. Import the footages. First, I double-click on the rectangle tool to create a comp-sized shape. I'll set the beginning of the layer here, make it 3D, set its anchor point in the bottom part of the shape. Then create keyframes for the position and X rotation. I go 11 frames forward, set the X rotation on 90. And the Z position on 1080. So the edge of the layer places here. I make the first keyframes easy ease and then create the jump animation for the layer. Then I go to the second keyframes and create another shape. Change its color to be different. Make it 3D and in the second keyframes, parent it to the first shape. As you can see, it spins like a real box. I trim the layers here. To be able to create a shadow for the box, in this frame, I duplicate the layer 1, put it below, delete the keyframes, name it floor and increase its size. And here, I add a light to the scene and put it on top. In light setting, enable the cast shadow. Then in layer 1, in material options, enable the cast shadow. I go to the custom view, and move the light to this side. To make the shadow not too dark, I reduce the darkness and set the diffusion to 500 to soften the edges of the shadow. I disable the accept light of the layers so that the color of the layers doesn't affect by light. I change the color of this layer so that the shadow can be seen better. I add a background to the scene. In order to see only the shadow of the floor layer, I enter the layer and put the accept shadow on only. I add the gradient ramp effect to the background layer and set its ramp shape on radial. After that, I hide these two layers. And here when the layer 1 appears, I make the first footage 3D and parent it to the layer 1. And here, when the layer 2 appears, I also make the second footage 3D and parent it to the layer 2. Well, there is a problem, and that is the shadow has disappeared, and that's because I hid the layer 1, so I appear the layer and set the cast shadows on only. And to prevent the footage from turning black, I disable the accepts lights of the footages. Well, let's go to the next transition. I name it flip. Import the footages. I double-click on the rectangle tool to create a shape same size as the comp. Make it 3D. From here, I go 12 frames backward and set the beginning of the layer here, and I go 12 frames forward and set the end of the layer here. In the beginning I create keyframes for the position and X and Y rotation. Here, I move the layer backward, rotate the X and Y about 65 degrees. And at the end, its position will be 0 again, also for the X rotation, but the Y rotation will be 180. After that, I copy the previous transition background and paste it here, a little bit darker. Then I appear the footages, make them 3D. I parent the first footage to the shape layer exactly here, and the second footage must be parented to the shape layer exactly here. And exactly in this frame, the transition should be done. To get better I can use a camera and enable the depth of field. I create keyframes here. In the beginning it should be on 0. It will be 300 here. Let's go to the last transition, which is split or slice transition. I create a new composition and name it slice. I import these videos. To be able to create a slice or split transitions, I use the pen tool. First, I create shape layers to specify the size and number of slices. I duplicate these layers and move them top and place them here. Then I specify colors between white and black for the layers. After that, I select them all and put them in a new comp. Hide it. Add a new adjustment layer. I add the displacement map effect to it and specify the shape comp as a map layer. And as you see, by changing these values, we can animate the slices. To animate both values together, I create a null layer and set its position on 0. It places here. Then, I parent the max horizontal displacement to the x position of null object and the max vertical displacement to the y position, so that by moving the null object the displacement also changes. After that, here I create a keyframe for the null position, another keyframe here. In the middle, null object moves like this. And in the next frame I put the null here. And to fill the blanks I add the motion tile effect to the adjustment layer. And enable mirror edges. I make these keyframes linear continues and these ones easy ease. Well, this tutorial is over. If you have any questions or suggestions, feel free and write it in the comments. Good luck!